Today I'm going to go over the Limacon family in polar graph with the different types and their characteristics. The first one that we're going to look at is the Limacon with the inner loop. The equations are for the Limacon, it's always r equals to a plus b sine theta or a plus b cosine theta. It depends on how it looks. As you can see, if it's symmetrical on the y-axis or pi over 2, it's a sine. If it's symmetrical on the x-axis, like these four, then the equation has cosine. So I have included this link under the video, so go ahead and click on it, and you can play with it and see how A and B changes the graph and their types. So here, when you open this page, it's already set up for the Limacons, and we're going to go ahead and change A and B to look at the different shapes. So first, go ahead and click on the tool and click on the axis number so we can easily see the length of it. Length of the Limacon. The first one that we're going to look at is Limacon with the inner loop. So Limacon with the inner loop has B greater than A. So if you write in an equation, in a fraction for ratio, A over B is less than 1. So let's look at an example of 2 as an A and 4 as B. If A is 2 and B is 4, it makes an inner loop, right? So what does these two numbers do? The difference of these two numbers, 4 minus 2 is the length of the inner loop, 1 and 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. And the total length of the Limacon with the inner loop will be the sum of these two, which is 2 plus 4 is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as I said before, if it's cosine, when you click on it and select the sign, it goes on the x-axis or polar axis. And if you change the B to negative, it reflects on the pole and it goes to the other side. Same thing for the sine. So sine, if it's negative, it reflects on the pole. If it's positive, it goes back up, okay? So as you can see, if B is greater than A, it will always have an inner loop, and A and B changes the size of it. And what happens if it's equal, A over B is equal, then it becomes the next type, which is called cardioid. So whenever you have A equals to B, it becomes a cardioid. As you can see, if it's less than, then it becomes a different shape. So cardioid looks like this, and the total length is 1, 2, 3, 4, which will be the sum of these two. Cosine, it's going to go on the x-axis. So the next one is when you have A greater than B, but the ratio will not be greater or equal to 2. It has to be less than 2. A over B is less than 2. So what that means is if you have 3, and B is 2, it's 3 over 2 is 1.5, not equal to 2 or greater than 2. So then this one is called the dimple Limacon. And as you can see, if it gets smaller, then, it's cardioid. And here, before it becomes 1.5, it's dimple. But from 1.5, which is equal to 2 and greater than 2, then it becomes more like circle, and we call that, before it becomes 0, we called it convex Limacons, okay? So first, let's look at 3 and 2, right? It's 1.5, which is less than 2, greater than 1. So then again, the difference of these two is the length of this outside, the other side of the pole, the smaller side, the dimple side. And here, the sum will be the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the difference plus the sum will be the total length of the dimple Limacon. And if it's sine, it goes up that way. The last one is when it becomes 1.5. So when the ratio A over B is 2 or greater than 2. So now it's not dimple anymore. This one is called the convex Limacon, and it works the same way. The difference of these two, 1.5, will be the length of the shorter side of the shape. And the other side, the longer side, is 1, 2, 3, 4.5, which is the sum of these two. So go ahead and play with decimals and see if it makes sense. Again, if b becomes negative, it reflects on the other side of the pole. Okay? What about circles? Circles will be r equals to r sine theta. R is the radius of the circle, and if it's sine, it's going to be on the y-axis or pi over 2 axis. And if it's negative, then it goes to the other side of the pole. Cosine, it's symmetrical on the polar axis, so it's on the positive x-axis. And again, 3 is the radius. Cosine theta is how cosine will be where it's located. It's on the x-axis.